While he is not my favorite JoJo in the series, I can't deny Jotaro Kujo is a total badass. He's the most recognizable JoJo in all of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. In this video, I will not be going over every individual stand battle he has, but I will be highlighting some key moments and some key battles. However, if this is something you're interested in and would like me to cover, make sure to let me know down in the comments. Without further ado, let's explore the life of Jotaro Kujo. But first, a word from our sponsor. And today's video is brought to you by no one. So make sure to like and subscribe. Let's get 1,000 subscribers on this video alone. Let's get some sponsors on this video, because damn. Shout out to nobody, and shout out to all you guys watching this video, because you guys are the sponsor. And make sure to like, subscribe so we can get over there. And now, thank you for sponsoring nothing, so nothing can sponsor me and whatever.
I love you guys.
Born in 1970 Japan, Jotaro is the son of a well-known Japanese musician named Jotaro Kujo and an American woman named Holly JOESTAR, who is of the JOESTAR bloodline, with her father being Joseph JOESTAR, our protagonist of Part 2, Battle Tendency, and her great-grandfather being Jonathan JOESTAR from Part 1, Phantom Blood. The two would go on and marry and have an only son named Jotaro Kujo. Jotaro's father would often travel and be on tour for most of Jotaro's adolescent life, but this does not mean he wasn't cared for. Jotaro was raised with love. His mother Holly was always there for Jotaro and even raised him so well that he would take part in athletics with other kids and do great in his studies within academics. In 1988, while Jotaro was 17 years old, Jotaro Kujo has himself intentionally thrown in jail by beating up 4 thugs on his own because he believes he is being possessed by an evil spirit. He believes no one can help him with this situation he's undercome. His mother Holly, her father, and Jotaro's grandfather Joseph JOESTAR, along with his friend Muhammad Abdal, come to get Jotaro out of jail and convince him that his evil spirit is actually a stand. For those of you that don't know, a stand is a manifestation of the soul, a powerful apparition of the user's own life energy. Determined to gain a better understanding of stands and what's going on with him, Jotaro leaves with his family and Abdal to a coffee shop where Grandpa JOESTAR begins to explain how he knows about stands. It is at this point in the series that he reveals to his daughter and grandson that he also has a stand. He demonstrates and explains to them that his stand, Hermit Purple, has the power to reveal faraway visions on film. After Grandpa JOESTAR totally obliterates a camera, he reveals that he and the whole JOESTAR bloodline have a birthmark shaped like a star on the back of their necks. Jotaro shows a picture, and a shadowy figure of a man is revealed. That man is none other than Dio Brando, enemy of Jonathan JOESTAR and main antagonist of Part 1, Phantom Blood, a man who has been thought dead for over 100 years, and he has taken over Jonathan's body. Grandpa JOESTAR confirms this by acknowledging that his stand ability, as well as Jotaro's, began manifesting a year ago in 1987, the same time Dio emerged back into the world. The next day, as Jotaro walks off to school, he suddenly falls down some steps, but luckily braces his fall to avoid serious injury. We there are introduced to another student, this one being a transfer student named Narioki Kakyoin. These guys have got to be the biggest 17-year-olds to ever exist. Later, in the school nurse's office, Jotaro is attacked by Kakyoin and his stand Hierophant Green. This being Jotaro's first actual stand battle where he has to fend for his life. He holds his own and comes out the victor. It is in this battle where we learn Jotaro's views and principles. He states that he may not be a nice guy and that he can actually be pretty violent, a rude person even, but somebody like him can even recognize true evil. Jotaro claims that true evil are those that use the weak for their own gain and stomp on them when it's over. He especially finds it most evil when this is done to innocent women, showing the type of character and morals he has. He truly is good at heart. Jotaro then takes a knocked out Kakyoin back to his grandfather for some questioning. The crew managed to take out a flesh blood put in Kakyoin by Dio to mind control him. A short while after, Jotaro's mom Holly is found on the ground suffering from high fever symptoms, but it is revealed that Holly herself is manifesting a stand. The bad thing about it is that she doesn't have what it takes to control her stand, due to her kind soul and gentle nature. This in turn leaves her fighting for her life against the stand that is developing from within her. In order to save her, Dio must be killed and have his influence eliminated from the JOESTAR bloodline. In order to find him, Jotaro analyzes the picture from Grandpa JOESTAR's stand. Jotaro's stand was able to sketch a drawing of a fly found in the photo to the exact detail. After doing some research of the sketch and with the knowledge of the stands that Abdal has, it is deduced that they have 50 days before the stand forms and kills Holly, and that the fly is a specific type of fly relative to Egypt, deducing Dio must be somewhere in Egypt. Kakyoin, now not under Dio's influence, confirms this, having run into Dio 3 months prior while vacationing with his family in Egypt. The crew, now including of Kakyoin, who has joined out of his gratitude, and maybe having a thing for Jotaro's mom, I don't know, set out to Egypt, but not without naming Jotaro's stand first. Notice how I haven't said his stand by name yet. That's because it's done at this moment. Jotaro picks a card from Abdal's tarot cards and pulls the star card, thus giving his stand name Star Platinum. The stands in this part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure are influenced by tarot cards and Egyptian lore. Later, they become heavy music references. Our heroes set out on their journey and soon come across a stand user by the name of Jean-Paul Polnareff, who has the stand Silver Chariot, another victim of Dio's mind control. He is soon freed of this, however, and joins up with their gang on their quest to stop Dio. As Dio sends other stand users to derail our heroes from getting to him in Egypt, they do eventually land in Egypt. When they arrive, they have another member brought into the gang, this being a French bulldog by the name of Iggy. And yes, Iggy also has a stand. The stand, the Fool. After defeating a few of Dio's best men, it is discovered where he has been hiding out, a secluded mansion. It's here where things start to take a dark turn for our heroes. Upon entering Dio's mansion, the gang is separated by one of Dio's stand users, and Jotaro, along with his grandfather and Kakyoin, are sent to some sort of pocket dimension within the mansion, separating them from Abdal, Polnareff, and Iggy. The JoJo's are challenged by the stand user but come out the victors. Upon being sent back to the mansion, the trio is confronted by yet another stand user and yet another stand user that Jotaro makes quick work of. The group keeps him hostage, dubbing him Loser, who Loser himself states that's what Dio's other stand users call him, which I thought was pretty hilarious. Being told where to go by their hostage Loser, the trio bust through a wall and are at the bottom of a staircase where Polnareff is confronting Dio. They all spot Dio at the top, and he retreats further back into the mansion. This is due to the sunlight being let in because of the giant hole in the wall created by the Crusaders, and even though he may have a Joestar's body, he is still the head of Dio, keeping the part of him that made him a vampire. And the Crusaders begin to give chase when Polnareff stops them and tells him what he can about Dio's stand, who he had just encountered. It's here, while still at the staircase, that Jotaro asks where Iggy and Abdal are, into which Polnareff replies, "They died trying to save me." Jotaro breathes deep and angrily. Kakyoin reminds them that the sun is setting. They continue up the stairs and into a room with a coffin in the center. This is the room where Dio sleeps during the day. The Crusaders force Loser to open the coffin. Loser opens the casket, and faster than the blink of an eye, Loser is inside the casket with his head split open, dying, wondering, yet not knowing how he got in there. Astonished and in disbelief of what they just witnessed, the Crusaders have no choice but to jump out of the room and out in the open where the sunlight is to protect themselves. And when I say they jump out of a room, I mean they are falling from a good 6 stories. They realize the sun is setting and daylight will be gone soon. The Crusaders are torn on how to go on from here, being that it will be dark soon and Dio will be more of a threat. Polnareff wants to see things to the end right now, forget waiting and giving him a chance to escape or regroup. Grandpa Joestar thinks they should retreat until the sunrise. Kakyoin is in favor of Polnareff's plan, but asks Jotaro what he thinks, and Jotaro replies that they can attack and run away at the same time. Kakyoin and Grandpa Joestar run away to give chase for Dio, while Jotaro and Polnareff attack Dio while he's dealing with the other Crusaders. When Jotaro does catch up with Dio, he's already killed Kakyoin and has engaged Grandpa Joestar. Grandpa Joestar screams out to Jotaro not to come any closer and stay out of the range of Dio's stand, for it has the power to stop time. As soon as he says this, however, Dio stops time for 5 seconds using his stand, the world, and seemingly kills Joseph Joestar with a knife to the throat that would pierce his neck when time resumed. See, Dio can't hurt Grandpa Joestar by his stand or physical body because Grandpa Joestar has his stand covered in hamon, all while wrapped around his body, and I love that the author does this to show the connection and continuity of parts 1, 2, and 3. When time resumes, Jotaro witnesses his own grandfather get killed in front of him and taunted by Dio, saying that he had also killed his friend Kakyoin. Dismissing his grandfather's warning, Jotaro approaches Dio. This is because Jotaro's stand is a short-range stand and he needs to close the gap. As the final battle begins, Jotaro and Dio engage in close stand hand-to-hand combat, with each trading blows due to them being the same kind of stand. When Dio uses the world's time stop ability, he approaches Jotaro when he suddenly sees Jotaro's hand move. This stops Dio from attacking because he is unsure of what's going on and is questioning if Jotaro can consciously see him right now. Dio is questioning if Star Platinum and the world really are the same type of stand. Dio uses the world's ability again and discovers that Jotaro was moving because he had placed a small magnet on the cuff of his jacket uniform and another on Dio's wristband. Knowing what Jotaro was doing, Dio is no longer hesitant to attack and moves in to kill Jotaro. But as he's moving in to deliver the finishing blow, Jotaro attacks him with his stand, punching a hole right in Dio's chest, sending him flying through a storefront glass window. You see, Jotaro had placed the magnet so Dio could think he wasn't able to move when he actually could, luring Dio into getting closer for an attack and countering while his guard was down. Dio recovers with his vampire abilities and confirms Jotaro can follow his movements while time is stopped, again, due to the two stands being the same type of stand. While not sure, Dio is confident, however, that Jotaro can only move for 1 second while time is frozen, which Jotaro's inner monologue confirms to us. However, Dio is not one to take chances and devised another way to kill Jotaro by revealing a bunch of throwing knives he had on him. I guess, I don't know when he had him, but yeah. Dio stops time once again and throws a barrage of knives at Jotaro, surrounding him with knives to the point of no escape. Jotaro uses his 1 second movement he has to clear out some of the more lethal knives and block a couple more when time resumes. But he can't block enough as he is pierced through his body and falls to the street beneath him. Unbeknownst to Dio, and some literal plot armor, Jotaro had stuffed his clothing with magazines. These magazines allowed for Jotaro not to be deeply pierced and fatally wounded. Jotaro decides his best move is to play possum and allow for Dio to believe he is dead. Dio approaches Jotaro's still body with a street sign ready to cut his head off, just to be 100% sure. When he is then ambushed by Polnareff from behind and pierced through his skull by Polnareff's stand's silver chariot. Unfortunately, Polnareff did not put in the force required to actually scramble Dio's brain beyond the point of regeneration, and thus was knocked down by Dio after he used the world's time stop ability. With Dio now heading towards Polnareff, who is helplessly incapacitated and moments away from getting his head chopped off, Jotaro moves his hand slightly, cracking his fingers. Dio is again shaken up, thinking he may have heard a sound from him, and puts his focus back on Jotaro. Two officers show up to stop Dio, but one is knocked out and the other is forced to shoot Jotaro's still body to see if he reacts. Jotaro doesn't move. This is thanks to his stand hiddenly catching the bullet as it goes through his surface flesh. And though this does give Dio a little reassurance, he is still not convinced. So he listens for breathing, which has Jotaro hold his breath. Dio still detects no sign of life, but is still unsure, and to be even more certain, he listens for a heartbeat from Jotaro, which once again he has to subtly use his stand to stop his own heart from beating, possibly killing him in the process. Dio can't detect the beat, however, so he figures Jotaro must be dead. He moves in to finally cut Jotaro's head off when Jotaro stops Dio with his stand, revealing he was alive this whole time. He did this by pumping his heart back up with his stand, the same way he used the stand to hold it from beating. Dio uses the world, but with Jotaro now so close to him and being able to move 1 second and stop time, he punches Dio in the head, fracturing his skull and causing brain and nerve damage to the point where Dio can no longer control his legs. Jotaro douses him in gasoline to set him on fire and to give him a detectable smell should he somehow try to hide. But with a good distance between them, Dio uses the world to stop time and escape by hitching on the back bumper of a nearby car. Jotaro catches up with Dio, however, and pummels him with so many punches he is sent flying down the street. Unfortunately for Jotaro, this is the same street that his grandfather's body is lying on, and he unknowingly had sent Dio in that direction. Making his way to Joseph Joestar's dead body, Dio drains the blood from it, essentially making Jonathan's body now fully Dio's, thus giving him more power and control of his stand and abilities, and even green lipstick for some reason. Jotaro then sees the soul of his grandfather leave his body while leaving him with some advice. He tells Jotaro he might be able to stop and move in time 2, maybe even 3 seconds now, which is a huge deal. As Jotaro and Dio clash once more, Dio stops time again and reveals that he can stop time for 9 seconds now, up from his previous 5 seconds. He beats up on Jotaro using his newfound abilities and stops time once more to deliver the killing blow. Dio drops a whole steamroller on Jotaro on the 7th second, having Jotaro use up his 2 seconds of movement in the time to stop the road roller from flattening him. On the 9th second, however, it is revealed that Jotaro had stopped time himself. This is again due to the fact that Jotaro and Dio have the same type of stand. Jotaro had figured this out while Dio was too arrogant to believe that anyone else would have the power to stop time, despite knowing that his and Jotaro's stands are similar. Jotaro approaches Dio, who is now the one frozen in time, and kicks both his legs. Time resumes after 2 seconds have passed, and Dio and his stand the world deliver a death-dealing kick that collides with Jotaro Star Platinum's death-dealing punch. The clash between the two stands caused Star Platinum's fist to begin to crack, showing he might be too weak, when suddenly the world's legs begins to shatter, spreading all over his and Dio's body, including the head. This completely obliterates and annihilates the left side of Dio's body and head, thus killing Dio. The Speedwagon Foundation pick up Jotaro and Grandpa Joestar's body, along with Dio's remains. The Speedwagon Foundation advises the medical crew on board to be very careful because there is still active cellular activity going on through Dio's body. Jotaro uses this information and demands the medical crew do a blood transfusion between Grandpa Joseph Joestar and Dio. When the doctors say they would need a beating heart to circulate the blood, Jotaro then uses the same heart pump technique he did in his fight with Dio. They begin to transfuse the blood, and the skin color along with the flesh returns to the body of Mr. Joseph Joestar. He regains healthy vitals and shows signs of brain activity as well. Grandpa Joestar comes to. The two JoJos await for the sunrise outside along with Dio's corpse that has now been drained of blood, thus making it truly lifeless. As the sun begins to rise, Dio's body disintegrates into nothing but dust in the wind, thus cementing his downfall, his losses, and his demise at the hand of the Joestars once and for all. Standing over the disintegrating corpse, the JoJos reminisce on the journey they embarked on, the adventures they've had along the way, and the friends they've lost, paying their respects, signifying that they have done it. The Crusaders have won. The JoJos and Polnareff would eventually meet at the airport and go their separate ways, but acknowledging to one another that they will forever be a team and will always be there for one another. All they need to do is call. As the Joestars board the plane, Jotaro's mother Holly begins to wake up completely healthy and back to normal, with a strong but correct sense that her son and father were on their way home. As the two JoJos head home, Jotaro takes one last look at a picture of the whole Stardust Crusaders gang. Grandpa Joestar looks on proudly at his grandson. As Jotaro smiles in the memory of his friends and puts the picture away, we last see him give us a confident look with his mission accomplished. But that's just one mission accomplished, because this isn't the end of Jotaro's journey, and we do intend to cover his whole life. So if you guys would like to see a part 2 where his next adventure continues, let me know in the comments. Or if you would like me to cover another JoJo as well, let me know that too. Depending on the outcome, I might put out one video before the other. So let me know, guys, what do you prefer? Again, thank you guys for watching the video, and if you could like and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. It really does help, and it goes a long way. But that's all I got for you today, my friends. I wish you all the best, and I hope to see you back here soon.